The use of over-the-counter medication to enhance performances by elite athletes is under scrutiny. Players and coaches have admitted to the widespread use of caffeine and sleeping tablets in sport after the hospitalisation of AFL star Ben Cousins. Cousins apparently had an adverse reaction to sleeping medication taken after a weekend game. Hamish Fitzsimmons reports from Melbourne.
When it's bad news, AFL clubs and the game's administrators stop talking.
I've got nothing to say.
Richmond's management is tight-lipped after Ben Cousins' night in hospital following a reaction to prescribed sleeping medication taken to wind down following the match against Sydney on Sunday. It's claimed Cousins also took caffeine tablets before the match. Now he's slipped past the media pack.
Yes, he's left.
After his 24 hours in Melbourne's Epworth Hospital.
So my apologies for
But Ben Cousins has never been far from the headlines in recent years, often for the wrong reasons.
A shirtless Cousins was taken into police custody after being stopped by detectives in the centre of Perth about midday.
In 2007, the now 32-year-old Cousins was suspended for a year by the AFL after admitting to a drug problem when arrested and charged with possessing drugs in Perth. In 2009, he made a comeback at Richmond, but now Ben Cousins has focused attention on practices that are apparently not uncommon at the top of the game.
I think it depends on the individual player. I know that they are used, fairly commonly throughout the AFL. Personally, yeah, every now and again I use them, but it just depends on a week-to-week thing. It's not something that I do every week or that I have every week before the game.
St Kilda's Lenny Hayes is frank about the use of caffeine tablets and equally candid about how difficult it can be to come down after a game from a cocktail of adrenaline and stimulants.
Occasionally when you're lying in bed late at night and you need some sleep, you've got a short break before the next game. It is something that I have used in the past. And again, it depends on the individual. Some guys have no worries after a game. They're pretty tired and get to sleep. But other guys, you're wound up, you've had a really good win. It can be hard to get that sleep.
I think one of the things with all this is we're expecting our players to perform at the very best week in, week out, not just in AFL but across all our sports. So therefore they're going to use anything that's legal to help them perform at their best.
Caffeine was removed from the World Anti-Doping Agency's list of banned substances in 2004, but remains on its monitoring list to track its use and abuse in sports. AFL coaches have different views on their use in the league.
The problem with sleeping tablets, it's not rife. I just spoke to our doctor. Not many players take the caffeine tablets, not many players take sleeping tablets, so it's probably an individual case.
I can only speak in regards to our players, but I think, definitely caffeine tablets are used before games and also other fluids and hydration and things to assist performance and, I suppose, alertness. But we haven't had any issues post-game.
The issue of the abuse of over-the-counter medications also concerns bodies like the Australian Drug Foundation.
People are using these sorts of pharmaceuticals to regulate their body. And so if they then get to rely on these drugs to regulate the body, then the risks associated with that, particularly when they get tolerance to the drugs, are quite significant.
It's understood Ben Cousins wants to play in this weekend's match against Fremantle. The club is yet to decide on when he'll return to the paddock. Hamish Fitzsimmons, Late Line.